to me nice. Talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes. Don't let it fall on me. Say you a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. We time. You, I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how. Got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. Why you blushing? Yeah, sweet concussion. Oh, you miss my touching. You do. Show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. I can't help how. Got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. We've been dancing all night long. Right here with you way too long. Don't want nothing here or now. But I'm done waiting, done wasting my time. Got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. Even though we are on the last day of January, but, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Starving Artist Podcast Show. I am your host, Marcy Photography, and we're here at 73 Wave Street at the Hub. And we have a great show for you today. But first, I wanted to give out some shout outs to some people. I want to give a shout out first to Tiny Treasures Academy Child Daycare. They just opened up brand new. They're right here on 360 Van Duzer Street. And they're, of course, licensed. They're brand new. They're in the neighborhood, in the area. And, anybody that needs daycare, childcare, preschool, check them out. The owners there is Alina Nevradaskis. I hope I didn't chop up your name. But she is the new owner of Tiny Treasures Academy Child Daycare. They're located at 360 Van Duzer Street. I like when new businesses arises in the community because it brings the community together.
It does.
And basically, just putting something in the neighborhood where we need, young mothers and, even fathers, somewhere where you know that your child is going to be taken care of and be safe. So shout out to them, Tiny Treasures Academy Child Daycare. Check them out. They're on Facebook as well, and they have their own website once you get to the Facebook, and you could check out what it is that they're offering for childcare. So 360 Van Duzer Street, Tiny Treasures Academy. So I wanted to also give another shout out to Shawnee Dixon. Hey, Shawnee. Shawnee is an amazing person. I met her this past summer. She has her own restaurant there at Van Duzer as well. And she's a celebrity chef. She's also an activist as well. And she owns her own catering business. It's called Say Grace. And she has been doing this for a good couple of years. And, her story is amazing because when I sat down with her and she started to tell me how she started about and what was her purpose to do this company that she has, it was a very interesting story. So
she has a strong message with good food.
Yes,
I
yes.
like that. What food does she make?
She has soul food. Soul food. She call it soul food therapy. So,
I love shrimp and grits.
yes. Let me tell you, her food is really good. You
come there to try.
Yes,
that out.
we have to go to Shawnee. Shawnee, she's located on 381 Van Duzer Street, also in the Stapleton area, and if you want to go and check her out, I believe you have to reach out to her because she is not open every day.
Okay.
But she does have a schedule. I just wanted to bring it to her. She was a private chef and a caterer to Power 105.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and Hot 97 and WBLS. She also worked with Charlamagne the God, Andy Martinez, Teddy Riley, DJ Self, majority of the hip-hop community.
Oh, so she's a black elite.
Yes, yes.
I like it. Go, sister.
Yes, definitely. And that's why we also
Hashtag no struggle.
yes, no struggle. And, she has a great resume on her. The list goes on and on here. So, but I was very happy to have met her and had heard her story. And she's a great person all the way around. So definitely check her out. She even met Tiffany Haddish. She's worked with her as well, Rob Stapleton, and all of these wonderful people. So check out Shawnee's house. She is 381 Van Duzer Street. Her IG, her Instagram is Shawnee's house, just Shawnee's house. So Shawnee, as you spell it, Chawnaes. So there's so many different ways of spelling Shawnee.
Yeah.
You have Shaun You have, WN, all this stuff. So we want to make sure that we get the spelling right? Because we're like, I can't find her. So, so it's Shawnee Dixon. So shout out to
CH.
Shawnee. Yes, definitely. So we wanted to shout her out for being a small business owner as well and a restaurateur.
And a black business.
Yeah,
woman
black
owner.
business, own black business. Yes, definitely. We
And
love
a
that.
woman. Yay.
Yeah, definitely. So we always have to support our people that are in our neighborhoods, in our community,
It is very important.
It is very important because you never know. I mean, wherever they're going to go, they're always going to take, Staten Island with them.
Yes.
know?
It's funny because community and unity is it's missing these days with so much of our need to survive through our economic strife. So
Yeah.
we're having other small business owners like Shawnee coming with especially a strong message like hers. And
Yeah.
the daycare provider Alina.
Alina, I can't pronounce her last name. I'm so sorry.
It's all right,
but
Alina.
yes,
What you're doing for the mothers. I'm a mom, so
Yes.
thank you. You take so much of the burden away from us.
definitely, we need that safe, secure place for our children.
Yes.
And if you find something like a tiny treasures, that are able to accommodate your needs. And I mean, your child is your precious thing in life, you're handing them over. So you want to make sure that that person is, they come correct. So definitely, that's why I do these shout outs for these businesses to support them. And always, I will have their links on the Facebook page after the show. So definitely we'll have them that. So let's go and introduce our guest.
Okay.
Today I have with me Whilemina Sparrow, and she is the CEO of Sparrow International. And they're upcoming, and she's an amazing woman. I met her this past summer as well, and we worked together as for this past Christmas, and we had lots of fun. There was a lot of craziness going on,
We were all over the place.
I know, but you know what? I mean, that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's the connection that you have with that person.
I think strife makes people come closer to how you work through it. So I don't shy from it, and and you handle me very well, which not many people can do. So
That's a good thing to know.
God bless her patience.
Oh man, I guess I have my silver lining for that. Definitely comes in very handy. But we want everybody to know what your company is about, Sparrow International. Just give us a little story of what that is.
So Sparrow International is a grassroots public relations firm. We focus on advocating for human rights. We advocate for economic growth, community development, women's rights, children's rights, and we bring awareness to human trafficking and how that might affect families and what to do to connect people to resources they might need. Being in public relations, you come across a lot of young girls and men who might be needing a place to stay or someone to get away from or a situation. So we try to provide that service plus a safe place where the entertainers can come and make their money and do what they love without, any other additional issues that might come with people who are trying to be artists in the industry and
Right.
stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's good. That's
And-
good. And how long did you launch your company?
Well, we have launched for 2 years now. This has been a company in the building for many more before that, but the concept is to bring police and community together.
Good.
We want to unite officials and the community and
Right.
police and mend the rifts that are going on, creating a dialogue amongst the people and the activists and our officials, and try to bring together a solution that we all agree upon to help implement the changes that have been advocated for on
Right.
behalf of those in Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, Me Too, and the list goes on and on.
Right.
One of our newest projects that we are working on is hashtag Me Too for Men Too. A lot
Right.
of men go through a lot of abuse
Yes.
and it's overlooked. So we are targeting redefining the definition of human trafficking in the federal law, because
Right.
how human trafficking is addressed in the
Yes.
federal law versus what's really happening in our backyards is two different things.
Right.
So it prevents it from being addressed
Right.
in its truest form at its root. And these are the things that we focus on.
That's good. So, like I said, I thank Sparrow for Sparrow for coming. I call her Sparrow, but it's Wilhelmina. But that's why I wanted to have her come on the show because, besides all of that, we had a great conversation. We had a long, extensive conversations about, what it is that you're doing in your company, which I think is so. This is what it is that we need to add to our community,
Yes.
where people know where they can go.
Yes.
And that's why I like to bring on guests such as yourself to be able to tell the community, hey, listen, this is what it's out there. Because, there's so many ways of spreading the word,
Yes.
but I always like to give people a visual
Yes.
and let them know this is a real person. This is a real, agency. This is a real, where you can be able to contact this person and be able to get help.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
an honor. It really is.
No, the honor's mine because you're here. Especially on this crazy, snowy, oh my God.
I know it's so cold outside.
It's so cold.
I'm still stiffing.
Yeah, and I'm looking at grandma over here with
COVID
Mike. No COVID.
COVID free. That's the weather. You can't cough these days.
I know. People look at you all weird. Like, oh no. Where's
You're
your
like-
mask?
Oh well.
Oh my God.
Beat's trying to hide my skin color, so I guess we exchange one for the other. I can't change this, but
That's right.
I can say this is a cold.
I'm telling you, people have grown very paranoid with a lot of stuff.
Yes.
It is. But we wanted to bring to light about Human Trafficking Awareness Month, which is actually I looked it up and I was like, when did it start? I mean, I'm a little bit too late, but I'm still holding on to the last day of January. It was January 11th. So I was like, okay, but you know what? It's January, the month of January. So, but I wanted to bring it to light because, there's so many different, I want to say, different levels of this human trafficking. And we wanted to bring light on how, because people wouldn't probably even think about even looking for something like that.
They're totally unaware of that it could be I think the biggest problem is our society always tries to put the criminals and the bad guys a face to it.
Right.
But the truth is trafficking has no face.
Right.
It's not one particular person. It's usually a group of individuals. It's not someone you don't know. It's usually someone you do. And then on top of that, how they might target you but in one of the major ways that they do target that is overlooked in the law is through our social service system, such as welfare, ACS. Those who are in some other states, ACS is known for CPS, Child Protective Services.
Right.
So they use these tools to target families and their vulnerability. The most vulnerable usually is single mothers with children, young girls who are traveling from out of state, as well as immigrants.
Yes.
What they do is, as social workers, they're the first line of defense to your needs. Basically, you have to address your most vulnerable moments with a social worker on why you need the assistance that you're turning to them for.
Right.
And this is a perfect place for a trafficker to come in and either, one, deliberately get a job as a social worker with the intent to target individuals to throw them into trafficking, or two, if you come across a social worker because they're so underpaid and overworked, it's easy to sell to, the money aspect, because it's low risk, high reward in human trafficking, because of the fact that the definition of human trafficking versus human trafficking in our backyard are two different things, because they target the sex trafficking aspect mostly, or if you could prove that you was forced to be worked against your will. But these things are very difficult to prove due to the coercion aspect. There's a process.
Right.
and a system that's in place. And that system is first the displacement of families. And they start with that. Targeting the men to jail them.
Right.
The women, usually the women are targeted for prostitution, children as well.
Right.
Organ trafficking is another target. So our medical system is also infiltrated with that as well.
You know, I was looking into that part of the organ trafficking on that. And, you know, not too long after I learned on my ID, I'm an organ donor, they look out after for these organ donors.
Yes.
That's a little scary.
Yes, I don't have myself as an organ donor for
I
that
was like,
reason.
okay, well, thank God I renewed my stuff and I took that out.
I mean, that won't stop them from going
Oh,
after
God
you for
forbid.
it.
Like,
I-
don't look at me.
Well, to be honest, a lot of those, thanks to Black Lives Matter, with everything that came to light with what was happening to our community and the young black men being killed senselessly by the police, but it's not senselessly.
Right.
I think that's the part that, we haven't touched on yet. We first touched on the issue that the police are getting away with
Right.
killing these individuals. Now that we've addressed that and made that unconstitutional for them to use unproportional force, now the next step is to address why they were
Right.
doing this. And a lot of those police officers, not the good ones. There are a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah.
And their hands are tied, so we need to untie their hands.
Yes.
And but they, traffickers do work in the police force to target young black men, knowing that community is easy target. No one would think twice.
And
about
you're
their
bringing that,
deaths.
yeah, you're bringing that up about that. I mean, just recently we just buried two of the most New York's finest. Jason Rivera and I'm sorry I can't remember the other.
Those are the good ones.
Yes.
Those are the good ones. Those are the ones that deserve to be honored and
Right.
kneel for them. And
I always say that there's always a bad apple in the bunch, right?
yeah.
And unfortunately, I believe that it's always been like that, where you're trying to create something of a safe haven, something of a community sense, and then here comes evil.
Yes.
So, and tries to, perpetrate and poison everyone with their evil. So, that also has to be, recognized, because not everyone is the same.
I think what happens is we try to understand it as a good and evil
Right.
aspect. And that's good, because that means that your heart is in a good place. But for them, it's not about that.
Of course.
It's about the money.
Yeah.
It's about, the people are the products. And if you, and it's a business.
Right.
So, and it's a well-oiled run business.
We have a comment that says, PG Raw, Whilemina Sparrow, both Ariana and I are watching, and thank you for your critical
analysis on
Yeah.
such a important topic.
Yes, that's why we have these things. We have these shows, definitely.
Thank
And
you
it
for
is-
watching.
Yes, thank you for watching. But yeah, that's why I'm glad that they commented on that. And, that was Peter.
Yeah, that was Peter. PDG.
Hi, Peter.
The polite Peter.
I didn't have him on Facebook. I was like, wait a minute, it sounds familiar.
It's sad because out here in Staten Island, the trafficking is very profound.
Yeah.
It is. It's one of those silent, keep your head.
Yes.
And bow your head.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. You guys all know what's going on. You know it. See something, say something.
It's true, it's true.
It's infuriating
I-
sometimes to see that, but I understand it.
Yeah.
I understand the fear too. So
I think that it has to do with a different era, because back in the day, 40, 50 years ago, people will always mind each other's business, watch each other's kids,
yes.
see what's going on in your neighborhood. People are so like this right now,
Yeah.
or they just don't care. But they don't care until they're affected.
Oh, and that's the part that I feel is infuriating.
Yes.
To deal with. I've worked with so many young women who've been trafficked, and one of the biggest things that comes up is the bitterness of understanding that there are people who do see what's happening,
Right.
who do know what's happening, and their fear or judgment prevents them from
Right.
addressing this. And just to make you all aware, traffickers benefit off of our harsh and strong ostracism and judgment in our society.
Right.
That is a big tool that helps fuel trafficking. And I'm not saying it's all of our fault, but we
Right.
have to recognize how we play a part in helping and enabling something that we all are afraid of.
Right.
You know, we're all vulnerable to it. Even traffickers are afraid of being trafficked.
Yeah. Ain't that crazy?
It's why they're doing it.
Isn't that crazy?
It's a simple cycle of, you know, better me than them, you know, or better them than me.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's, you know, it's a very it's a sad.
It
it's
is.
a really sad
It is.
thing to.
But I'm going to tell you, you know, people got to understand this has been happening, it's been happening for centuries.
Yes.
I mean, we call it human trafficking now, but it was really, you know, slavery, you know, and, you know, it's a modern day slavery.
We took off the physical chains and just exchanged it for mental, emotional ones.
Exactly. You know, I mean, it's a $1 billion industry.
And I was just about to say that it thrives because everyone has a vice.
Yes.
And that is what trafficking does. It fulfills a need that is so taboo for you to go anywhere else to get that need fulfilled. So you go into this underground market to have that need fulfilled. So hence how our judgment does fuel
Right.
trafficking, because, you know, we have a lot of people who have been damaged from, you know, I mean, come on,
Going
we
through it.
all saw Floyd pass away on video. The
Right.
whole world is scarred and traumatized. So imagine just from that one incident, and then there's so many of us who have seen and witnessed way worse or more. This is what they're carrying with them, and then that's what's being exploited.
Right.
And those damages, and instead of judging those damages that we witness, I think we need to bring back, like what you were saying, how it used to be such a community,
Yeah.
a sense of community and helping out.
Yeah.
That's where we're trying to do the unity aspect of uniting police and community, because at one point, everyone knew, all right, we have to protect ourselves from those who will go too far.
Right.
And that's just about it. It's just there should be a boundary of how far we shouldn't go, and coercing people and hurting children and hurting families is not. That's the boundary. We
Of
went too
course.
far. And I feel like we need to get a good control of that by addressing and facing how do we identify it in our own neighborhoods. And it could be, you know, it could be your daycare provider. It could
That's
be
what I was going to ask. Like, you know, what are the signs to recognize these types of people that we are supposed to go for help? And then they take advantage and they target you.
Pastors,
Yes.
priests.
I mean, like, how do you even recognize
Therapists.
them or even know, okay, you know, that person looks like a suspect. They might be doing some trafficking, you know, or something in that perspective. Or what are they doing? You know, they say something.
I would say the biggest sign is gaslighting. That's a number one tool, because when you see something and you know something's happening to you and it's not right, and it could be subtle, but if you react and have a strong adverse reaction to what's happening to you,
Right.
listen to that. That's your instinct telling you something's not right. And then if you're being dismissed for those feelings and the things you're seeing, that's gaslighting. And if you're not being validated and properly addressed for what is happening to you, then they're most likely trying to throw you into trafficking. First is to discredit your own mental, to discredit the things that you're seeing, and make sure that you don't know how to identify the issue.
Right.
Another tool is passive aggression. I personally resent this tool. And the reason why I do that, I resent it, is because we use it in our everyday language. And
yes.
so it makes it so hard to spot. And all of us, especially us ladies, we know what passive aggression does.
Right.
It allows you to address a issue or say something in a backhanded way without being held accountable for it.
Right.
So, you know, and I think the best solution to addressing that is just making it where we can protect the mental health of individuals, and to make certain things inciting
Right.
and exasperating certain symptoms in people should be definitely defined under the law as harassment, and with some consequences to go with that.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
there are some tools, and then the next thing is, I would say, is your social media.
Yes, that is the big culprit.
Yes. Well, actually, it could be our liberating tool from trafficking. It doesn't have to be the fuel of trafficking. It's just how we individually choose to use social media.
Right, that's true too.
Fuels
How you
trafficking.
use it. Yes,
Yes.
definitely. I mean, if you're open to everybody sending you messages and stuff like that, you have to be careful too. How,
Yes.
where who you receive messages from and who you talking to.
Yes, but it's scary because I remember in the 90s and early 2000s. Before that, you still had to worry about the creep in the bar.
Yeah, following you home.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and then social media just made that creep have easy access to you and your family.
That's why I say technology, man. It plays a big part of that. 20 years ago, we didn't have, we had MySpace.
Oh, I remember MySpace. Tila Tequila, my girl right there. You inspired me. I was like, I'm gonna get famous off of that. Never did. But
Listen, and Tom was always your first friend, so
I was.
yes.
And but what happened was, with social media, how we can liberate ourselves
Right.
from trafficking.
Right.
We can create neighborhood watch pages where we can use the live feeds to show what's going on in
And
our
we had
neighborhood.
that back in the days.
Yes.
Neighborhood Watch.
Mm-hmm.
No,
So-
everybody stopped watching the Neighborhood Girl.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, most of us have security cameras and systems that actually can go onto our phones, and we
Yes.
can use, you don't have to be out. I understand a lot of us are concerned about COVID and the effects it's having, so
Right.
staying in is also a major issue.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, the more we stay in, that feeds another form of trafficking, the
Yeah.
kidnapping.
Yes.
There's no one. There's no one out there. Everyone's inside, so it's easier to snatch up your kids, and it's easier to snatch up a girl.
Oh my God.
It's so there's no one there to watch your kids because everyone's afraid because of COVID. So you have all these things that are happening, and like you were saying with the border and the immigrants and
Yes.
how they're disappearing off the border.
Yes, well, that's a big issue with that as well because, I mean, I always like to that's why I have my little chart here. But, sometimes people like to look at data,
Yes.
and, but it is a 2 years old. I couldn't find anything else much more current
Yes.
than that, but it has gone up tremendously from 2015 all the way to 2019. It went up from I would say that was like a nice 50% from those years.
Yes.
Let me tell you this. So many. My concern is the children, man.
Yes.
How these kids. I don't know if you remember. I think it was last year. There was a video of this grandmother walking with her 2 grandkids, and you saw in the street cameras that they played the video, where that man just came up and snatched one of her kids.
One of the girls.
Yes,
Snatched the girl from.
snatched her, and she had the other. No, it was 3 of them. She had 2 boys and a girl. The guy comes and snatched up the girl. She couldn't even leave She left the boys to run after the guy because he snatched the girl.
Yes, right in her face.
Right in her face. I mean, these people are getting very bold and very desperate.
Because they're getting away with it, and there's no and it's very hard. Believe me, the individuals that run this machine don't want it to get too out of hand either, because if you damage the product can't sell.
That's right.
Unless that's part of the selling, like snuff films. But that's its own other darkness in that. And it's just that a lot of these individuals are so damaged in what they're doing with the trafficking, with the coercion aspect, that they are getting difficult to control too.
Yeah.
So even their handlers can't control them.
That's sad.
And then it is. It's very sad. So they're taking matters into their own hands, killing the girls with unnecessarily because they want to control the girls,
Yes.
getting power trip because a lot of, whatever damages they have over women,
Right.
or vice versa. And believe it or not, 30% of those prosecuted for human trafficking are
Right.
women.
Wow.
A lot of women fuel
Yes.
human trafficking.
Yes. I think they use more of the female type because females can be a little bit more approachable.
Yes, it's trusting. They're
Yes.
pretty.
Like, a man is always going to be always a suspect.
Yes, he's a creep.
He's a creep.
Automatically, he's a
Yeah,
creep.
definitely. But when you use women in that aspect, and shame to all those women that fall into that.
And they use children too.
Yeah.
They'll
yeah.
have you like a young woman, and yes, shame on you, ladies out there who are doing this.
Yeah.
The lady there could be a woman that walks in with a child, and it's not really her child.
Right.
And then the goal is to have the child engage your child, and then bring your child to them.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
or they use dogs. Everyone loves a dog. Who doesn't want to pet a dog?
Yeah, okay.
So
pet your dog, and can I feed? What's his name and stuff like that.
exactly.
So
But
many different tactics.
how do we do this?
Yeah.
How do we address this without being afraid?
Exactly, because if you stop doing all of that stuff, you're just gonna become a hermit.
And we need to connect. We
Yes.
do, especially now more than ever. We need to be stay connected. I would say the best way to address this would be legalizing prostitution.
Yes.
If you legalize prostitution, you allow the laws to address the coercion aspect.
Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about to legalize
Make it legal.
a
for-
sex worker?
Yes. So a lot of times, because of the taboo-ness of the job,
Oh
a
no.
lot of people don't want to. Exactly, so taboo. But that's what fuels it. It's the taboo aspect.
Don't they
So-
got brothels for that?
But they do, but it's not legal. In New York State especially, it's not
Oh,
legal.
New York State.
And the problem with it being illegal is that it leaves there are many women who don't want to be a part of that, who are forced into it. And then there are women out there, the ones that are forcing them are the ones that don't want to be seen as the girls that are considered, we call them gold diggers, but there's nothing wrong with someone who's about the money and wants to value themselves in that assets. We have entertainers that promote themselves too. So it's just about how we go about it. And I think if we legalized it, it will allow us to address the laws to prevent the coercion, so that this way, when a prostitute out here is picked up and let's say she's been in it since she was 14, unless she's under the age of 18, they don't care about her. Now she's committed the crime because it's just illegal to be a prostitute. Doesn't matter if she's being forced.
I
and then
understand
the crime is being addressed and not her forced.
Right. But I understand. Let me see how I could put this eloquently without insulting anything. I would not agree with that. I
Yeah.
have to disagree with that portion of trying
Yeah, a lot
to
of people-
legalize it with the sex worker. I mean, we all know what the stigma is with that. We all know what that comes with.
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of women out there would not agree to have that type of job to be legal, because to me, let's get a little bit political on this. I mean,
of course.
once we start doing the legalizing the sex workers and giving them all of that stuff, then now you have where in New York State with the drug addiction,
Yes.
they have these little sheds now where heroin addicts and drug addicts are able to come in there and they can shoot safely.
Yes.
I don't agree with that neither.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the fact that I'm old school, but something that you're putting a Band-Aid on that instead of really getting into the root of the problem.
Yes.
You're not really doing any service for anybody
Well-
with that, because of the fact that you're continuing thinking that this is okay for our next generation.
Well,
So
yes, but it's one of those things that right there is the judgment, right? And it's not a wrong judgment. I don't think it's bad or
well,
wrong.
I don't
'cause
think it's a judgment. I think it's just my opinion
Yeah,
about it.
exactly.
And that's how I see it.
Exactly. And what we do is to understand that we are aware that there are women who do anything to have that lifestyle. or men. In Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, the women go crazy trying to hold on to the men out there because the language of the men, or they will sit there and be married to a woman, but then if a rich man comes along, they're gay all of a sudden.
Oh my
And they're
God,
leaving
yeah.
their wife for that guy.
Oh,
So
wow.
there are men and women that are doing that. I personally knew a life insurance agent who didn't mind using his junk
Oh
to
my
make the
God.
sales.
Oh my God.
And you know, New York life was all for it.
Lord,
you know, so
yeah.
you know, so there's a lot because he was bringing in the money. It doesn't matter what he was damaging the girls.
Right.
It just mattered that he was bringing in the money. So when you understand that the damage it can create by not legalizing it, because there are people who will be willing to take that position. Maybe you personally wouldn't, or the people you associate with wouldn't. But there are a lot of people that we're aware that a lot of girls end up being trafficked due to the fact that these traffickers exploit sex out of them.
They do.
And some of them willingly go in to give themselves in hopes to get that stardom or that fame.
Right.
So if you make these things, instead of demonizing these fields, we understand it's a field that's been going on for centuries. It's never going to end.
Yeah.
And then by making it illegal, we're making, like, my daughters are vulnerable to being forced into that and driven into that because it's illegal. And they know once they drive them into that and they're in it long enough, it doesn't matter. They're broken in.
Right.
And addressing it and helping them doesn't matter because it's illegal and they perform the illegal act. And so when they go to jail, they're not going to address, well, you know, the pimp made me do it, or, you know, or they put, you know, ACS on my mommy and she had to do it or something. They won't even look at that. But if it was illegal and then now she's allowed to say, hey, I was raped. I was forced to do this.
Right.
Then we could address the other stuff that feeds the trafficking, because now we're no longer worried about the legalization of the field itself, and then we can make laws and heal them. Once we heal and we make it legal, we can make therapy programs. We could do so much to these girls should be therapied, these men should be therapied through the job, just like a job, like a cop. Cops have to go through therapy,
Right.
and psychiatric care,
Right.
because of the extreme of what they see in
Right.
the
That
job.
PTSD. They go through all
Exactly.
that stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Well, sex work has its own trauma, and a lot of these girls who are in it is traumatized because they were victims of sexual abuse from a young age. So the world taught them that the only way that they're of value is if they use that part of themselves.
Right.
So that's why I personally, as a mom of girls, do I want my daughters to choose that field if it was legal? I would probably keel over if they did.
Yeah.
But I know if, let's say one day someone decides to do it, right, and gets into the job, but then she's raped. But no one cares because now she's a prostitute and it's illegal. So who's going to keep her safe? A pimp who's raping her?
Oh, of course not. But the thing is, I feel like just because you're making it legal doesn't mean that it's right.
Well, the same thing. A lot of things aren't right, even though it's legal.
I agree with that.
And that's where I'm saying the lack of judgment comes in.
Yeah.
Because that's, like you said, it's a personal opinion of whether it's right and wrong, and that should be personal. And then the legal aspect is just so we can protect those who are in the field, because there are many who are immersed in it that will always stay in it no matter what, because this is what they feel that life is about. And also,
I think
addressing go ahead.
So I wanted to really basically bring out the couple of states that we have the most trafficking in the United States.
California.
Nevada.
Nevada.
California.
New York.
New York actually
Wasn't high on the list, but it should be. That's because New York is so passive aggressive with their trafficking. They use ACS.
Well,
That's why.
That's the thing. Yes, they do.
They haven't
Unfortunately,
recognized that throwing children into foster care against the parents' will is trafficking.
I've had some friends that, as like I mentioned before, that they had grown up in the system in the 80s, and they had gone through foster care, and they were going from home to home, and basically they, after 20 years later, they admit to them being touched and
Yes.
molested, and stuff like that. And unfortunately, they it's within them. They never forget about those moments.
Oh,
And
you would never forget your.
yeah, definitely. And it's just sad to hear that. And because of that, so some of them had to go through therapy and
Yes.
psychological
It's
help.
unfortunate. The foster cares in New York, here particularly, I'm going to speak for New York because
Yeah.
I know New York,
Yes.
born and raised. And New York's foster care system is more of a preparation for trafficking for the children. So a lot of times here, we all know that throwing children in foster care is guaranteeing the most likely rape,
Yeah.
molestation, and some type of sexual abuse or physical abuse and trauma. But we still have it going. It's
Yeah.
a thriving business. Anybody could be a foster parent. There's no credentials really other than just not being on the child registry,
Yeah.
abuse registry. So outside of that, our social workers that work in this field, they
Right.
need to have lie detector tests. We need to put them through strong vetting and lie
Yes.
detector tests.
I would
Just
say.
like our state troopers go through a lie detector
Right.
test, they need to go through it. How are we not being hard on those who have access to the very things that we love?
Yeah. Yeah.
Our children. There should be a much stronger vetting system other than a nice white picket fence image, because that's pretty much what they play on. If you
Yeah.
have the image and you look good, then
Yeah.
they people, oh, okay, they're great, they got their stuff together, and not understanding what's going on behind closed doors.
There's been a lot of cases that I've seen, in a lot of documentaries, where there were couples that have done foster care and stuff like that, and it turned out to be that they were investigated, and they were trafficking those children. I mean, you could just find all those type of stories everywhere.
Oh yeah,
You know?
I had a personal story where over here at the Children's Aid Society, the one at
Down by Bay.
not Bay, what's that street? Walker Street over
Oh.
by Port Richmond, that area.
Okay.
There's a Children's Aid Society. So
Okay.
there, one of the mothers I was working with, she was explaining to me how her daughter, who was a toddler, she was like 2 years old, was went into the foster mother. The when they get visitations, they go to change her, and all of a sudden she doesn't want them touching her down there. She's screaming and hysterical.
That would be a sign.
That's a big sign. And then they addressed it.
Right.
They didn't do nothing. And those two individuals, as far as I know, are still fighting for their children.
Yeah.
There's another individual that her own mother is putting her through this because it's the money.
Yeah, the money, yeah.
Between COVID stimulus checks
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and the tax child credit,
Yeah.
and then any other benefits, because ACS pays well.
Yes.
So that's why the trafficking is prevalent amongst the children protective services, because ACS will pay a foster home very well. A lot of people just look into the money. You just look
Right.
it up, and it's billions of dollars that are going
It
into
is.
this. But the kids listen to the children. They're saying it.
That's right.
They're being forced. I've watched social workers try to tell the children that what they're experiencing isn't real. I've watched social workers take children from good mothers and
Yeah.
good fathers, and then I've watched social workers, when children said that they were being molested and raped, sweep it under the rug. So
Let me
yeah.
tell you, ACS, all of this has started to change a couple of decades ago. I was raised where my mom beat my ass. When she would whip me.
I had the wooden spoon.
Oh, no, she had the chancleta with Spanish girl.
Oh, the chocolate that went at my head. Was dodging that.
Yeah, girl, I'm telling you. I knew when I was coming. But, I guess because of the way that different ways and mentality has changed, they put it where that was a bad thing. Oh, that's abuse.
I
You know,
remember that.
that's abuse. If your parent or your mother or your father ever beats you or hits you, you call the cops on them.
Yes, my true story. My sister deserved her butt whooping, and my mother was whooping her butt, and then she came home with that, and she was like, and this is the year that song "I Got the Power" came
Yeah.
out, and then she came home, she's like, "Ma, you can't hit me. I got the power," and all I hear is, "Yeah, I'll show you power," and then my brother, the clown that he was like, "It's getting kind of hectic."
Oh my God.
Yeah, I
I
remember
can imagine that day.
It was funny. It was sunny.
It was a sunny
It was a
day.
sunny
Okay. That's so funny. Oh my God. But this is what I'm talking about. It was a normal thing to discipline your child.
Yes.
Or you whoop them and you let them know.
Oh, they even now they say ACS says, okay, you can hit your kids, you just can't bruise them, you can't use.
Oh, so they changed the linguistics on that
yes,
a little bit
because
there.
they were snatching children out of
Yes.
the home for just getting spanked.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And because of that,
Yes.
they empowered these children, and they took the power away from the parents.
Yes, I think we should empower the children because there are abusive parents and
Yes,
there are
they
abusive
are.
people out
I'm
there.
not saying that there's not.
But we need to also protect the parents' rights too.
Exactly.
Another thing ACS likes to do is doctor up records. They love to destroy evidence of the goodness in a parent to disparage the parents so that this way they could guarantee your child being thrown into the foster care
That is
system.
so horrible how that is being run.
And what they do to the parents, the stuff they have the parents go through, all these hoops, they make the parents go through these appointments, like 3 appointments a day. Most of these parents can't even afford a car, much less public transportation. They'll provide maybe a Metro card if you get someone who will remember to give it to you. And then, and
Don't forget my Metro card.
passive aggression. I'm telling you, passive aggression is a
Oh
very
my God.
big. It's horrendous. That's why I don't tolerate it in my personal life.
Oh, no, listen.
If you're passive aggressive to me personally, don't be my friend.
Don't request help.
But it feeds the monster. It
Yeah.
does, and a lot of these children are vulnerable, but no one really wants to listen to kids when they're abused. I'm sorry, they don't. I hear kids talk about their abuse all the time, and they always speak up. Children want to be heard.
Yeah.
They can't shut up. I
Yeah.
have 3 of them. They don't shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
At all. My other one, if the oldest is being a bully to her, because like they do that, just yesterday she was like, she was trying to get the oldest to stop, and the oldest was being a little extra with her, and then
Right.
she's banging on with her. She took a butter knife, she started banging, and she's banging, and I'm like, why are you doing that? She's like, she's not listening to me. I'm like, she want to be heard.
She wanna be heard.
Kids, when they want to be heard, they'll act out.
Yeah.
And same thing with adults. Trafficked individuals are not.
Right.
They don't look like they have it together because they don't.
Right.
Because they aren't allowed to. There's no safe place for them to process their emotions. There's no safe place for them to run to for help. There's no safe place for them to hide from their attackers. And in a lot of traffickers, there are traffickers that are in the military, they're in the police force. So they're watching their victims and targets. So when there's victims and targets run, they already know where they're at. If the victims or targets make a report against them, they know about it.
Definitely.
And then retaliation is a big issue.
Yes,
So
it is.
our communities, we need to unite. We do. We need to come together.
Yes.
Black Lives Matter, Me Too, Stop Asian Hate, and LGBTQ. We're all vulnerable to this. Young boys are being constantly forced and molested on, and because they're men,
Right.
they're taught not to express their emotions. So there's a lot of people, as a veteran in the VA, when I talk to a lot of other veterans.
You're a VA, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I've spoken to a lot of veterans over MST, that's called military sexual trauma. And in the military, they do this to both men and women.
Right.
And a lot of men they get it a lot of times. So there's a lot of things that's going on in our society right under our nose because traffickers do not have a face.
TVP, Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000. So they had made a public law to basically defend trafficking victims. And this was created on 2000. Who was the president in 2000?
That was Bush.
That was Bush, right?
He had just became president.
Yeah. Yeah, then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had made this public law October 28th of 2000. And that was, I mean, you could find this online like I did.
Yes, trafficked victims out there. If you are forced to commit a crime or you're in the midst of committing a crime, this is what that law covers.
Yes.
It allows you to go and admit to this crime that you're being forced and coerced into without consequence because you're a victim of trafficking.
That's right.
So don't let these traffickers tell you that you will go to jail too, or that they will look at you a certain way. Despite our differences in opinions in prostitution, Marcy will help.
Yes.
And I know this about Marcy.
Yes.
Marcy will help anybody. Doesn't matter what she believes is right or wrong of what you're doing. So there are good people out there. They may not agree with the field that you're in.
Right.
But they also agree that you should be treated with humane
Exactly.
treatment. And trafficking is it's so debilitating on the mental and emotional health, and it takes a lot for a person, a victim, to rebuild that self-confidence back, that sense of value, because that's what traffickers do. They devalue you emotionally and mentally, letting you know that you're not valued by your family or loved, because a lot of these victims are coming from broken homes,
Right.
abusive backgrounds. They might be running from perpetrators in their own homes. So,
yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm glad that they were able to do this. I mean, I didn't even know it existed. But, I'm glad that I did find this and looked it up. And there's some form of security, at least, for them to feel that they can go somewhere and get help. And they're protected under that law.
If traffickers will make you commit money laundering, drug trafficking, child trafficking, sex work, even to scout other victims. So if you are in this position and you want out, there is a way out. You could contact your local Homeland Security office. You could also contact your local FBI office. Both of these areas have places, departments dedicated in human trafficking to solely come in and help you. And a lot of times, a lot of victims don't realize that all you have to do is just speak up. It's just speak up. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people don't talk because they're afraid of the consequences of what talking will do.
Yeah.
Even if you, let's say, in your own neighborhood, like out here in Staten Island, a lot of the Staten Islanders know, unless they just moved out here, the ones that grew up out here definitely know. The language of out here is a silent, deadly killer called the human trafficker.
Yeah.
And it could be your neighbor, and it could be your daycare provider, it could be your pastor, it could be your social worker, it could be your therapist, it could be anybody that you trust. And
wolves in sheep's clothing. You
Yes.
have to learn how to fish them out, learn the signs. Don't just think that because these people they jump on your vulnerability.
Yes.
They know when you need something, and that's why my husband always tells me, you don't trust nobody. You're damn right I don't.
Yes.
Because there's evil everywhere. And people, whether they are influenced by, money or drugs or whatever it is that they need, they're going to go out there and they're going to do that harm.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not going to care because their needs come first.
well, out here, that's funny that you said that, because out here, what they do out here, if you look outside the welfare offices, you'll have like men, usually it's men, but
Yeah.
they'll have women too. So don't underestimate that. Those tables that set up sometimes can be those traffickers. They will have men sitting out there waiting with cars, knowing that the moms are vulnerable to needing these things and for their babies and stuff. And then they'll hit on the women, and the women think they're dating, and they're really being targeted for trafficking. That's how they get in. They get in as a boyfriend, and then they'll marry or have a child with these girls, and through the child rights they have as a parent, they hold these girls hostage. They do that. Women do it to men too. They use child support as a tool.
Don't be looking for that sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be looking
There's
for
a sugar
daddies,
dome.
but you have to just be careful who you talk
Ladies,
to.
I'm 39, and I'll tell you, 39 this Thursday. Hey,
Hey,
karaoke.
happy birthday,
But
girl.
I've been there. I've been that young girl who believed the hype. I was told that I would be promised a modeling job. Was promised thousands of dollars,
Right.
and I didn't see none of it. And so it's not to demonize anybody for being tricked.
Right.
We all are vulnerable. We're all tricked. Sometimes it's the very person that you thought was your hero,
Yeah.
and they're playing your hero just so they could be really your enemy, and they want to just traffic you. And
Could
we
be a
got
boyfriend, a cousin. It could be anybody. You just have to know the signs and look out to. Listen, I always say, don't ever doubt your instinct.
yes,
Because that vibration, once it starts to vibrate and you feel like there's something wrong,
Yes.
listen to it. Because the majority of the time it is.
Yeah.
There's something going on. And just sometimes when you say, oh, I wasn't feeling that person. Oh, I don't know about that person. Because why? Your instincts is there.
yes,
And it's telling you something because, you have to listen to that instinct.
and
But I wanted to bring up. You have something?
yeah, I wanted to, well, real quick. Can you see it on here? Well, you know what? I'll just say it. National Human Trafficking Hotline is 1-888-373-7888. So if you're being trafficked or you're a victim of trafficking and you feel like you cannot go to your local precinct or anybody, you don't feel safe, you can call that number and they will set you up with a case number, and then you could just always call them and give them an update, and then they will guide you from there, giving you the resources that you need. So
Right, definitely. And I'm glad that you put that number out there because we're going to have it at the end of the show with that information, and we're going to post it up on Facebook as well. So you can have that because I did take a screenshot of that. So, but see, National Human Trafficking Hotline.
yeah.
So we're on the same page, definitely. Of course, it is a topic.
Yes.
And also, there's another organization. It's called International Labor Organization, which has to do also with child labor and trafficking,
Yes.
where you can also go to them and you could report if you are being trafficked. I came across this story about, it was called, what was it called? Trilicon Farms. And it was a farm, it was an organization in Ohio.
Yes.
And I want to say like maybe it was like around 15, 18 years ago. And the owner there, you could Google the story and you could find out. He was just bringing in all of these children from the border, they were, immigrants. And they were using these children, and their conditions were deplorable.
Yeah.
How they were keeping them, and how they were working from 7 o'clock in the morning all the way to like midnight at night. And they were going to school, and one of the teachers noticed that one of those kids were very tired all the time. They didn't have an appetite, and so the teacher would recognize there was something wrong with that kid. And, the teacher was saying, that she was not interrogating, but, trying to have the child speak because she knew that there was something going on. And then finally, of course, she insisted, and the child did break down and did tell her what was happening.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, that child did speak, and she was able to, report what was happening.
Yeah.
So, and thank God at least, that farm was able to get shut down. But, this is what, all of this is transpiring too, on how these young kids, 13, 15, 16 years old, are being, trafficked through the system,
Yeah.
coming in from other different countries. And they take that situation, like you said, and basically use, cheap child labor.
Yeah, that's
you
what they're
know?
doing.
And there's so many, like I said, there's so many different forms of trafficking, from organs to sex to, pedophilia,
Yes.
all of this. And it's such a shame, more than anything to see these kids go through that,
If you can say to yourself, "Oh, I've never seen trafficking in my neighborhood.
Right.
I'm safe," I can tell you, you're wrong. You know that drug addict that's most likely in the corner, in
Yeah.
your area, that's begging for food, that's begging for your money. That person is the results of when you're no longer useful in trafficking. That's
And
usually what.
that's a lot because we have a large number of people under, that category, which is
Yes.
drug addiction and stuff like that.
Oh,
If you speak to one of them, they always have a story. They have a story. They have something to say. How they wind up like that.
Yes.
You
And
know?
a lot of times they've lost something great, a child, or
Yeah.
they were placed in a situation where they lost everything and then they were forced to, work the streets and they will, a lot of these people will never admit because of the fear of that once they do talk, they can get in
Right.
trouble by their traffickers for talking.
Oh yeah.
So, but a lot of times we see that emotional, angry, crazy person. We got to stop demonizing emotions first.
Yeah.
We got to understand that when we see someone emotionally erratic, it's because something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
And not wrong with them. There's something wrong with what's going on around them.
Right.
And then once we understand that, we can know how to target. Thank you
It
guys
says
for sharing.
Khadijah Thomas. Thank you guys for sharing that information. So happy you guys are touching on how, where, when, and signs. Keep doing your thing, guys. Thank you, Khadijah.
Thank you, Khadijah, our favorite millennial. So
That's good. I'm glad. Hi, Khadijah.
hey.
Yes, yes.
You know.
What does, when I mentioned the name, Jeffrey Epstein,
Oh,
Heidi Fleiss,
I'm just okay. So,
Harvey Weinstein,
booyah for them prosecuting his girl. What was her name?
Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, yes, bye,
Yes.
bye, go, bye.
Yes.
Like I said, women run it. So
Yes.
yeah, bye hell, bye heifer, bye.
Peace out. But she was also brought into that because of Jeffrey.
Yeah.
He brought her in at a very young age.
Yeah, she was actually, you could see her as a victim, but there are certain points where victims can choose their freedom.
Yeah.
And then they could choose being.
She liked it because of the money. She liked it because of the fact that maybe she didn't like it at the beginning. Who knows her story until she tells it?
Yeah.
But she was where she was sucked in, and money is the root of all evil. So
Yes.
that's where here you can have this. Here you got Jeffrey Epstein he was a millionaire.
Yeah.
He had private islands. He had jets. It was easy for him to traffic these girls.
Yeah.
He had big celebrity friends in high places, So when you have that type of money, you could create this world and this organization because you have the capability of doing it, and nobody would know. Everybody will be in silence. Nobody will say anything.
Well, it's one of those understanding because everybody benefited off of
Exactly.
it. One way or another, they benefited off of it, except for the young girls that were being forced into it.
Exactly.
And then what they do with a lot of the illusion with a lot of girls that the reason why they become susceptible to being trafficked is to believe that there's fame and a lot of money behind this. There's those girls, and the prettier the girls are, the less control they have of their money.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of women who sit there and come at another woman if they are in that business, like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. If I look like her, I'll be making so much money. Psych. No, they will not want to. They would not want you to control your money even more because of the value you have. So a lot of it is it's control. It's mental control, psychological control, emotional control. There's something called trauma bonding.
Yeah.
That's very prevalent. That's why a lot of these victims are loyal to their perpetrators. Maybe that's what was Maxwell's
Probably,
issue. She was
right.
probably trauma bonded with Epstein.
Yeah.
These things do come up, but what happens is, and that's where the whole judgment. This poor woman couldn't speak up about her part because she's busy running from the crimes that was committed instead that she committed. So it's like, but was she a victim? We would never know, you know.
Like I tell you, till she tells a story.
Well,
her
now that
story.
she's convicted, maybe her story can come out.
Well, listen, let me tell you. I mean, I was following that.
Write a
too.
book in there.
Yeah, write a book. Hey, why not?
Let us
Everybody
know
does.
why you do it.
Everybody does.
We need to know. We need to know that side. And another thing we need to address, pedophilia.
Yes.
The reason why this is so out of hand is because we all have that one family member or two that we know is definitely not right. In
Watch
some
out for
ways.
Uncle Joe.
Like, you know what? I created a character. He's called, hi, my name's Uncle Mo. First name Mo, last name Lester. And then his wife is Aunt Jackie.
Oh my God. I could imagine those.
If my kids are watching, they're like, "Oh my gosh, she brought Aunt Jackie and Uncle Melissa."
A little out there.
But the truth is, we do have that family member, and a lot of them are supported and protected by people that love them because they are loved. So we need to have a solution to address pedophilia.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about coming from the non-judgmental standpoint, because I do agree with the fact that it is horrific to understand that women feel the need to sell their bodies, but they do. They do this. Women do marry for the sake of money. Women
Well,
do
that
take,
I do see that. Yeah.
and those women, maybe they should have a field. So our good men could be
Claim some
protected.
taxes.
Just,
Let me get my 1099 form.
and then with that understanding, it's like, okay, honey, you go out there, you make your money that way. Leave my good man alone so he doesn't get damaged, so he won't think he has to protect his assets from me. You know.
Oh my God.
So these are it's a cycle, and it's so much. And pedophilia, the cycle of pedophilia, you know, I have someone close to me that I love, and I still love
your person.
Yeah, I don't want to say who it is, for protection of the people I love.
Yes.
You know, and I don't want to criminalize the individual for what they did to me, but I would love to heal them.
Yeah.
I would love for us to go to therapy. I would love for us to understand, why did you feel the need? Why me?
Right.
You know, those things. And I'm sure many victims out there and survivors out there want to know that same question, but because we're so judgmental and harsh, these people can't come out and they can't talk. They can't therapy themselves.
Right.
And there's something called chemical castration. That's a new thing out there. Basically, if you take this pill, it's supposed to kill that
feeling,
that urge, whatever it is.
They need an exorcism. That's what they need.
We need to do a universal exorcism, but
that too.
Not everybody believes in the spirit, so we'll leave.
I know.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
But we all do believe in goodness.
Yes.
And we all believe in humanity and the importance of it. And that's where we need to unite. We need to humanize. Also with family, the uncle or cousin already got them and no one listens, so they get to the kids too.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Thank you, Khadijah. Or whoever.
Yes.
And that's so true. Please don't let it trickle down in the rest of the family
or household.
Yeah. And that's true because, you know, we have to understand that, ladies and gentlemen, if you know someone out there that whether they did this to you or they're doing it to children, and you know that they have this, we know our instincts kind of tell us.
Of course.
We kind of already see it in them. And it's that inappropriate way he might grab the kid, or you know, just certain weird things, or you know, he'll favor the child that's his,
or have the child sit on their lap. I think that's a little bit too.
Oh yeah,
you know, I said, I'm old school. I don't let no.
My late husband would never let his daughter sit on a man's lap.
Yeah,
and he would freak out when his ex would do that. You know, because a lot of mothers be like, oh, look how cute, especially single moms who are trying. As single moms, we want you to love our kids.
Right.
That makes it easier.
Definitely.
You know? And then what happens is sometimes they get caught up in being like, here, offering their child up, not realizing they're doing it. Or sometimes they do.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on what's going on in a person's mind. But that's why we have to heal them.
In California, they had lowered their age range for a consensual relationship between a woman and a man, and they lowered the age to 14.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that.
I
Okay, so
do.
the mommy in me is like, oh. But the
14.
bad girl teenager I was.
Well, yeah, right? Okay. Right.
I remember I remember, his name was Nick, and he was 20 years
Oh my
old.
God.
And he was so hot, and I talked to him for months on the phone, but my mother was very strict, and I was 15, and I wasn't allowed to meet him. And then one day we was going to meet, and then my mother realized it, and she got on the phone, she's like, we'll put you in jail if you meet up with my daughter. And then I was like, no.
Why?
But girls, when we want to do something, we want to do it.
Yes.
And it's very difficult for us to stop us because we are rebels. That's why you reverse psychology, tell them you can, and then they'll be like, no, I will never want to. I tell my daughter, go outside and play, and she goes, no. And I'm like, yes, stay in your room.
Stay in your room.
But I don't want you in your room, girl. Get out of your room. And she'd be like, no, I want to be in my room. Good. Reverse psychology, it works.
Reverse psychology. Go ahead, do it. No.
But the age, it's like it's like a catch-22 because at one point when we was more family oriented,
yeah,
our grandparents and great grandparents, they got married at that age.
That's what I was gonna bring up. My grandmother did, and she was 15, 16 years old, and this was in early 20s, 1920s.
Yeah.
Right. So there's different cultures as well that plays into that.
Yes.
That we think that, it's just their culture, but it's really pedophilia if you really look at it.
Well,
you know?
in some countries they'll sell the children just for the sake of food because they're starving.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Maybe we should, address our needs. A lot of people discuss about how to address what happened with COVID. Everything shut down. We're having this new transition of an economic change. Well, maybe we should,
sure. We are.
Universal income. We need it. Right now is the time we need it. These are things that if we address the 5 basic needs, home, food, energy, health, and education.
Right.
If we address those 5 needs that are freely given to us because it's our human right to have it, no matter what our social status or racial background or sexual orientation, I think if we have those basic needs met, then we'll be left less vulnerable. And then also connecting as a community, implementing new infrastructures, going out there, becoming more self-sufficient, also transferring what we use for energy. These are all areas. Traffickers will out here in sanitation department.
Yeah.
Okay, so human trafficking, how they infiltrated the sanitation department.
Oh my goodness.
Ugh. It's called gentrification, though. There's different forms.
Disclaimer.
And this is why we have to change the definition, because we have to understand what areas, like what department of human trafficking is being implemented. Homelessness.
Yes.
Is it in a homeless shelter? Are we gentrifying people, throwing them out of their homes and stuff? So how they do this with the sanitation department is the sanitation department, the truck, they know who's the homeowners and they know who's the renters.
Oh, yeah.
And what they'll do is
they know the route.
Yes. So the homeowners, they'll clean up the garbage and be respectful with their garbage because those are the homeowners. They have to answer to them.
Right.
Now, the tenants, they will throw away, and I've seen this, they'll throw their garbage all around and not with no care, leaving garbage around. So then sanitation department comes around and tickets the house.
Yes.
So when they do that, now the tenant is not held accountable for that ticket, even if it's the tenant's garbage. It's the homeowner who's held accountable. And by doing this pitches the homeowner against the tenant, creating conflict.
Right.
And then the homeowner will now have the right to evict the tenant. Hence, if the homeowner wants to get rid of a tenant because the property value went up and they want to sell it, but it's harder to sell a house with a tenant in it.
Yes.
And, you'll have to do more negotiations and deals to drop down the value. So if you want to get it for the full market value or more, you want to evict the tenant. So working closely with the sanitation department to do this is one tool that they do. Oh. And then now they have the right to evict the tenant. And then the tenant is evicted due to the garbage. But most of the time the tenant's not cleaning it up, not because they don't want to.
Right.
They're working.
Yes.
They're 9 to 5 and they come home, and when they do, they'll clean it up. But by that time, it's too late. The tickets, they've already gotten several tickets.
That's true. And Lord knows they do that around my neighborhood.
Yes.
So believe me, we go through it with our trash man guy, and it's like, it's a fight, but yeah, they do a lot of those things on purpose.
Yes.
And these are the things that something so simple as what you just mentioned about garbage, you know,
you overlook.
they overlook, and because you just never know, who is around like that, But this is something that this is why I wanted to bring this to light and let people know, like, it just can be anybody.
Yeah, your school teachers. You have to understand the importance, school teachers, social workers, pastors, why daycare providers, why they are such a high area where traffickers infiltrate themselves, because there's a law called mandating reporting. Mm-hmm. And when someone who has the mandating reporting power behind them, if they make a report on a parent, that report has more credibility because they're a mandated reporter.
Yes.
And there's no consequences. If me and Marcy gets in a fight today and she wants to call ACS on my kids, just because she don't like the way I look, she can. And then there won't be no consequences to her. There should be consequences to that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, there's fake reporting.
Uh-huh. And lie detector tests.
There's a lot.
Implement that.
But there's a lot. There's a lot of information. I always say knowledge is key.
Yes.
Always look around your surroundings.
Yes.
Never leave your kids lagging behind.
Yes.
I see a lot of parents doing that in the streets.
Oh, they could.
And I hate that, because it's like, you don't care. Anybody could just, you're making it easy as a target
Anyone
for those
could
children.
come and snatch
up those kids.
And you won't notice until it's too late.
Exactly. So, these are the signs, these are the things that we must be aware of. Especially when you have children, or even yourself as a woman or as a man, they don't care. They just are after, their target. You're being walking out of the store, going into the parking lot, into your car.
Yeah.
You see somebody being suspicious, walking around. You see people in the car, right next to yours. You're like, you're trying to get in your car. Like, the whole parking lot is empty, and this car is parked right next to you. Like, why? So those are the things that, you must be aware and be diligent of your surroundings.
It's important to be vigilant because it's not movie picture the way it is. The bad guy is so easily distinguishable. It's not.
Definitely, but I encourage everyone to really look into more of this human trafficking. I mean, it's been on the rise. Like, I've been looking at this since 2016. We're in 2022 right now. If we could use this platform to let people know and be aware. There are phone numbers and information that I'll be posting on the Facebook page. Basically, so everyone could, click on that and get some more information on that. If you know anyone, if you suspect anyone, there are numbers that you can call and that you could report, or, even if you see anything, just always keep your eyes out, keep your eyes on the lookout, and, just be more vigilant with that. Mm-hmm. So, Whilemina, our time is up.
Yay.
Call it lifetime movie problems. Yeah, right? and let me tell you, people only think that this is existing in the television or movies and stuff like that. No, this is real life. Yeah. This can happen to real life people, and, I always say that, movies, they portray, art imitates life. And when you see something like that, you would never expect that you would see it in real life.
Yeah.
So, but our time is up, and I want to thank Whilemina for being here today.
Thank you.
And, we want to have you again.
Oh, I would love to. I have so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also she has a podcast show, which is
The U.S. Roundtable. You can follow us on YouTube and subscribe. And, hey, comment, too. And, yeah.
I'll have her link as well if you want to check her podcast show as well. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Khadijah, and everybody else. And until the next time, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Hey, thank you.
No, thank you. All right.
This was amazing.
I love the fact that you're...